As life starts to come back to normal, now's a really good time to start to come to terms about what we've been through and how we're going to reintegrate into a new COVID world. Mr. Allan Sparkes is a former Deputy Commissioner of the Mental Health Commission. He is also one of 5 recipients of the highest bravery award bestowed upon a civilian, the Cross of Valour. Allan, always really good to talk to you.
Great to see you, Tom.
Today we want to talk about resilience. What's been your experience when it comes to resilience?
I guess I have a lived experience, Tom. Many years ago, as a police officer, I developed 2 mental illnesses, and those mental illnesses caused a catastrophic change in my life. And I was tested in ways that I never thought was possibly tested, and fortunately I was able to come through them. And from those lived experiences, it got me involved in the mental health sector, and I've been able to learn so much about why I became so unwell and the mistakes that I made and what I've been able to do today to make sure that I have a great state of physical and psychological health, which has helped me endure so much of my life. And when we talk about resilience, I like to think about endurance. We need to learn how to endure crisis in our life, because if we can't endure, ultimately we are severely impacted. And the fight back can be harder. So for me, it's all about a proactive approach to make sure that we can cope with crisis when it does affect us.
What are your tips for getting your life back on track?
I think we have to be able to look at how have we been impacted. And I don't believe there are too many people who haven't been impacted. The way I see it, Tom, is that the COVID crisis has amplified so many problems that were pre-existing and made situations worse. And I look back to when I became so unwell and was at the depths of hell, so to speak. I look at, well, how did I endure that period in my life, and what did I do? And a lot of it related around to regaining my physical health. But since, for the last years I've been involved with the sector, I've been able to gain so much. And so what I've done, I've created my 6 foundation stones. And what my life philosophy is, if my foundation stones are solid, whatever I choose to build on top of that will be solid. And it's just a really simple way to keep on top of things and keep going. Because we all have crisis in our life. And COVID doesn't mean we're not going to have any further crisis in our lives. But if we know that our foundations are as solid as they can be, it helps us endure the crisis and overcome it in the end and or recover from it.
You mentioned the foundation stones. I'm fascinated by this stuff.
My foundation stones that I have, firstly I have sleep, nutrition, movement as opposed to exercise, and I'll explain that in a moment. A way we breathe called diaphragmatic breathing. The other is using technology for positive purposes, and the other is social connection. For me, the most important is sleep, number 1. If we don't get quality sleep, our physical and psychological health will deteriorate. Nutrition is something that I've only really become aware of in the last few years, where I used to have a diet heavily laced with processed carbohydrate. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. By being able to take away a lot of the bad food I used to eat and increase my movement and exercise levels, I've been able to reverse my type 2 diabetes. We all hear today, you've got to exercise, you've got to exercise. And with respect, if you're in a state of psychological ill health, it's really hard to go and exercise.
Yeah.
And when you can't, you feel as though you failed again. So people fail to understand that you actually got to move. It's so important just to move our body, to get the blood flowing. So there's an old sort of saying, movement is for health, exercise is for fitness. So I've got to make sure that I actually start to move first and foremost. Then I can build into my fitness. In relation to diaphragmatic breathing, it helps overcome the fight or flight. When we become frightened, and I see COVID has caused all of us to be frightened about some things sometimes. So breathing diaphragmatically is a way that we shut off that fight or flight response. We can start off just breathing in for two holds, hold for 2, out for 2, hold for two. It's like a cyclical breathing. And we use our diaphragm to breathe as opposed to most of us breathe with our chest. It causes our nervous system to behave in a way that helps us overcome our stresses and anxiety. It calms us down, which improves our positivity and just helps us endure much, much better. I'm also a great proponent of using technology for positive purposes. So with my smartphone or my wristband device, I can gather that data and analyse it myself to see where I am. Do I need to get more sleep? Is my resting heart rate getting up? Why is that happening? It allows me to pinpoint areas of my life that I need to improve on. Or go, no, you're doing really well, have it, congratulate yourself. And the other one, which I think has been really affected by COVID, is our social connection. You know, we haven't been able to connect the way we always did before. And we as human beings, we need social connection. Now we're getting out of the current lockdown. It's important that we engage in a positive way and understand the importance of what being with other people.
They're your 6 foundation stones. Can any individual, can any of us just design our own?
Absolutely, because we are individuals, and you might say, look, I don't have a problem with sleep, it's fine, or my nutrition levels are great, or I'm really fit. So it's a very individual thing, but I think it's important that we have our own foundation stones which we can work on and identify. But for me, I guess I get a feeling when my foundation stones are changing, they're deteriorating, and I notice changes in myself. And some years ago, I went to a conference where Mike Petras from the Mental Health Commission of Canada introduced the Mental Health Continuum card. And when I saw that, I've gone, this is the best thing I have ever seen in the mental health sector. Literally, there are hundreds of them available on the internet. And this is one that I like. So it breaks your state of psychological health essentially into 4 colours. Green being healthy, yellow being reacting, orange being injured, and red being ill. So I can visualise my continuum card in my head, or I can actually look at one at home. And I can go, that's actually where I am. And I don't want to be in the injured, and I certainly don't want to be in the ill stage. I want to be back to the healthy stage. And I think during COVID, most people have either been in the yellow or the orange state. And tragically, some have hit the red stage. So my foundation stones relate to this. My foundation stones, when they're rock solid, help me be in the green zone as much as I possibly can. We all become mentally unwell at stages of our lives. That's going to happen. But it's just a beautiful little tool that I would love everyone to use in their lives, because if we can't cope, life can become intolerable. When we know that we can cope, it lifts us and it prepares us for that next stage of our life where another crisis is going to happen. It's setting up our own foundations to cope in the crisis.